Hello and welcome to my extremely messy shop. I have like 6 projects going on at once right now, and my organizational sense is effectively non-existent. But today we're going to be doing something about this. This is the rocker panel on my Nissan Maxima. Amazing, I know. But the problem here is that this car has a still-in lip on the front, which you can see there. Look at it. It's pretty tattered, but it is there. And there's nothing on the sides, and that needs to be fixed. So what I did was I went on the internet and I bought 2 of these, but they're still in side skirts. Yay! These are urethane side skirts. They were on, Stillin was having a little bit of a site-wide sale a couple months ago, so I picked these up. And today we are going to test fit, sort of figure out the mounting for them, how on earth these actually go on the car. There's no mounting holes from the factory, so I assume that we're responsible for that ourselves. Yeah, this one says right there. So I guess this is the one for the passenger side. So let's see. It looks like I'm holding it correctly. It goes something like this. Oh, it looks like whatever this is needs to come off. If you're wondering why the wheels and tires are off, it's because I was getting tires mounted to my repainted 350Z wheels. There's one of them over there. It looks like up here you can see that this lip has been rolled a little bit, so that might help. So if we just okay, well, that's disgusting. I can clean that later, but let's fit this up here and see what it looks like. From what I can tell, there's always like a little bit of fiddling necessary with aftermarket body kit parts. This, let's see, it's not fitting under the door. It kind of like goes between the rocker and the door panel, and this isn't fitting. The door seems to line up everywhere else. As far as the ends go, the length is good. It's just that the urethane material itself is not fitting under the doors on this side, so I might just open the doors and fit it that way. Hold it on there with the door. Yeah, so the length is pretty much right. I've just got to do something about this material here. You can sort of see what I'm talking about here. It doesn't really want to fit between the, whoop, it all fell off there. It's got to kind of fit up in this pocket. And as you can see, yeah, Nissan panel fitment probably isn't exactly the best quality. And then there's the thickness of the material itself with the 3M tape. Okay, well, the other side actually fits under, yeah, it fits in the seam pretty well. So, build quality issues with a Nissan. Imagine that. So now mounting it is the next question. Obviously there's 3M tape on the underside there that goes on that lip, yeah, whatever. But you've also got, looks like there's a screw hole here that we can pick up and reuse the factory screw for that. I'm just going to clean this up and leave this piece off. I don't really understand what that is or why it's there. And back here, there is a wheel and tire in my way. Back here, it's a little different. We've got the contour, I hope you can see this. There's this sheet metal here, and the contour of the skirt pretty closely matches it. So my thought is that I find the bag of stuff I bought. Here it is. And what I have is some speed nuts. And see if I can, sure. These little guys are actually specifically designed to retain machine or sheet metal screws instead of actually using the sheet metal themselves. So I just kind of put that there, and then drill a hole through here and a hole through here, and then I can rust-proof that hole with some pour 15 or what have you, and the sheet metal itself isn't doing the job of retaining the screw anymore. This is. And that also means I can oversize the hole a little bit and allow for a little bit of adjustability by moving the speed nut around. So that's kind of nice. The screws I bought to go with it are these little guys. These are just little screws. I think they're 8mm head. They're for GM radiators, I believe. They're just sheet metal screws with a built-in fender washer, and they seem to be pretty ideal for body work like this. So we just need to drill some holes here, probably do one here and one here, and then make matching holes on this contour here, and that'll hold the back, make a hole in the front to hold the front, and it should be good to go. Dun da da! Both sides are mounted. It's pretty darn solid. Like, that boy ain't going nowhere. One screw, that also took a couple tries because this one's real tricky to get. But that is pretty reasonably solid. I think I need to do a little more finagling there, but I also need to do more finagling all along here because you can kind of see it doesn't really, maybe, focus, there we go. This featureless white plane is pretty tricky. So the issue that I've kind of been having here is that this doesn't really fit. There's a lip here that goes on the top. The 3M tape is under there and it kind of sits on the top of this rocker panel. Problem is, there's not enough gap between the rocker panel and the door for it to fit. So the solution, and the reason for that is because, and you can't see it because I've got this on here right now, there's a crease all along here in the rocker panel because someone rubbed it up against a curb, and that pushed this piece, it pushed it upwards, so there's not as much of a gap as there should be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab my vernier calipers. Let's get a vibe. How thick is this? 4.8 millimeters. So that right there is how thick I need to make this gap. So I can take this off now at this point. It has served its purpose. And it can go to the body shop as soon as I get this front mounting situation figured out. The screw's not wanting to bite for whatever reason. Oh, and then also there's just a tiny bit of dremeling work that will need done here. Nasty little bit of sprue there. And then this should probably get cut back to here. Just kind of lengthen out that bevel. It doesn't really like to sit there like that, so I'll get that taken care of with the world's worst rotary tool. This thing feels nice in the hand. It is garbage. It has no power whatsoever. And what I've been doing is taking a piece of wood and taking a 5-pound mallet, 5 pound? I don't know, however heavy this is, and beating the absolute crap out of this metal to try and move it down, which is kind of tricky right here where it is also far too narrow. You can see that rubs. So the doors line up perfectly, like all the other body lines, they're all fine. Perfect. It's just the rocker is deformed. So the cheap little grinder is actually ideal for this, and I rounded off these corners and kind of pushed this little bump out down a few mil. It's quite good now, and then I got some roughness taken care of right there. Oh yes, that fits perfectly. Now I'm going to take that and box it up. I'm going to take the other one, take this one and box it up, and this, let's see what it takes to remove the gas cap. A couple Phillips screws, great. I'm going to send this in the box with all the skirts so that the body shop has something to match the paint to. That was on their request, actually. I'm going to box all this stuff up, load it in the BMW, and tomorrow it'll go to the body shop. And it'll be, well, the nicest part on the car after that. This video is taking place over the course of several weeks, so I actually don't know where I am or what I did last. Here,
I have my calipers, and that is set to the thickness of the side skirts, which means that is the thickness of the side skirts. And what I've been doing is going through here and making sure the side skirts are going to fit. They fit fine here. They don't fit so good right here. And then on the other side, there were a whole bunch of places that they didn't fit. And what I've been doing, I'm not particularly proud of, but as you can see, it does fit now. All around here, which has been smashed up. What I've been doing is block of wood, big hammer, 4-pound engineer's hammer. I've been re-engineering this car because don't want to move the doors because the door gap on the top is perfect. So I've just been doing my thing, hitting this with a hammer to make these fit. And I think I'm pretty much done on this side, except for we're still a bit on the thin side. And since that's right where the hinge is, I can't really hit it with the door open. So I've just kind of been really carefully doing this number and just kind of hitting the hitting the rocker. It's pretty awful. Hang on. Gotta try and get as much of a downward angle as I can and not scuff the door itself. And now we see if we're any closer to fitting. Yep, pretty much perfect. I'm basically a body shop at this point. If you're easily disturbed, now's the time to stop watching. Remember, the whole point of this is to keep the doors from rubbing excessively on the side skirts so that my expensive tri-coat paint job doesn't get immediately wrecked by the door opening. Perfect. All sins will be hidden by the side skirts themselves. I'm hoping that tomorrow I can go pick up the skirts. So in the meantime, there's one more goodie that I really want to do to this. Behold, Amazon's finest. LED underlighting. Yes, this is something that I've been wanting ever since I saw the R34, I think, GTR from Too Fast, Too Furious with the silver and blue color scheme and blue underglow. And nowadays you have these LEDs that can do rainbow patterns and all kinds of stuff. We're not going to do any of that. This is going to be basic white underglow, pulsing maybe, or just solid on white. You know, do you see a theme here with this car? White everything, white underglow, which as a bonus is 1000% legal here in Wichita, especially if the actual lights themselves are not visible from outside the car. Yeah, we're gonna wire it into the battery, not the 12-volt socket. I think that's the receiver module there. Plenty of cable. So let's get the car in the air and figure out where on earth to put these. Of course I have to give them a test. I've got them hooked up there to my iPhone. This is number 63, and it looks like I can favorite this one. That's pretty cool, so I can just go back to it quickly. Sweet, and this is, of course, pulsing white. How cool is that? I can hear Riders on the Storm playing with Snoop Dogg. These appear to be NeoPixel based. I think they are all individually addressable, of course. And these definitely appear to be some sort of quality control rejects from a larger manufacturer. The color temperature is not very consistent throughout, but since it's going to be reflecting off of the ground, whose temperature is also not, color temperature is also not very consistent, yeah, I don't care all that much. So, oh, I see, this just, there's so many effects. Oh goodness. So the length, like down each side, they're all connected. You can disconnect them here at the front, but you know, this corner and then the side and then that corner in the rear is all one strand. So I've got to figure out what to do with all that junk, but we'll get there and we'll get it done. And then you've got the two controllers, which have their own sticky pads here to put them somewhere, presumably. Of course, some isoprop to prepare the area where these are going to stick to give that 3M adhesive as good of a chance as possible.
This is the sort of attention to detail you don't see with your average detailer. Just going crazy under here with the isopropyl alcohol, getting this all as clean as I can get it. It's not going to be perfect, but I think the 3M tape ought to adhere pretty well here. I'm just going a couple inches inside of the pinch weld, which is looking kind of sad here. And now it is just a peel and stick adventure. There's some odd curvatures here in the floor pan that are kind of annoying, but hopefully it looks all right. It is sticking pretty darn well though. That is on there. I don't think there's much chance of it going anywhere, but who knows? And what I'm doing here is I used the quick jacks to get this up in the air because it's the easiest way to lift all four corners. Put jack stands under, and then I just kind of scooted the quick jacks out from underneath it so that I can get some better access.
It's been a few days since the last video. I got, well, a double whammy. Really bad allergies hit me, and I ate some bad cake and got food poisoning. And I just had a lot of stuff going wrong. Not necessarily with this project, just with like the house, like an insane amount of stuff going wrong. There's a hole in the roof here that I don't know how that happened. Sink, there's a hole in one of my faucets in the kitchen sink. My other sink in the bathroom, when I run it, it makes it rain in the basement, which is phenomenal. And my fan in the living room has gone bad. And on my way out here, I slipped and fell in the mud and hurt myself, so that's good. On the plus side, since I've been sick, my voice is real deep and sexy, so you get that. Anyway, look at this bullshit. I always wondered why these corner marker lights on this car never did anything. God, I sound like hell. I always wondered why these corner markers never did anything. Turns out they were just unplugged. And I was like, well, why on earth are they unplugged? I plugged them in, it was because they still have halogens in them, which means they're the only lights on the front of this car that still have halogens. And I was like, well, why on earth didn't you replace them? Well, I figured out why I didn't replace them. This sucks to get out of here. There's just one screw at the top. You can see where it goes in right there, just one screw. But then at the bottom, there's this little thing, this little ball that goes into that little socket. That thing is in there. It took a hell of a lot of prying to get this thing back out of here. But now I have some hideously expensive Sylvania LEDs to go in here, and we are going to use this wire. Oh, that's another weird thing. This uses dual filament bulbs in something that clearly only has one brightness setting. And yes, I do know these are the right bulbs. It actually says 1157 right there. Oh no, if I've dropped them. It says 1157 right on there. So we're gonna put these in, and then we're gonna use this wire here to run our underglow, which I have running to over in this general area. We are just going to do a bit of a splice, a bit of a crimp, a bit of a heat shrink, and then we're gonna have a bit of a good time. That'll make the underglow come on with the corner markers, which are on in both settings, headlights on or headlights off. So that will be good for car shows and such. Well, it's certainly been a minute. I've been kind of sick, and it took longer for these side skirts to come back from the machine shop, from the paint booth, than I expected, but they're there. But also, in the meantime, I got the underglow wired up. Here you can see my nice shrink wrapped and crimped connection there, and that goes to the underglow. There we go. Cool. So if we turn the lights on, we should have a white light, and a white light, and a white light. Very nice. The other thing I got done was I got the underglow on all around the car. It's just stuck. I haven't yet actually done the screw things. These little fasteners here. So it's just like a little, actually rubber. I thought it was plastic. And yeah, these tiny little screws. So I'm gonna grab a drill, and I'm gonna grab some time. I didn't want to go poking holes in my car, but those are so tiny and the adhesive is so crap that I think this is gonna be necessary. Then we should be good. I did zip tie the cable poorly out of the way, but yeah, there it is. I need to go to O'Reilly's and get myself a new oil filter because I have a feeling that the oil filter is the reason that there is this huge puddle of oil underneath my oil filter. I don't know, just a hunch. Take a look-y that, all nice and screwed down. Got that done all the way around the car. So at least now my cheap underglow should be secure on the bottom of the car, which is nice. Unfortunately, halfway through, my cheap Harbor Freight power tools started to give out on me, so I partook in my favorite hobby of acquiring red tools. So I got this little M12 drill and this M12 bit driver. Big fan. They're not fuel, but they were cheap. I think it was like $140 for the pair of these with 2 batteries and a charger. I'll take them not being brushless because these are way more powerful than the huge cordless Chicago Electric bit driver that I had and the corded big drill that I had. I mean, this thing outdoes that and weighs half as much. So I'll deal with the ozone smell from the brushed motor. It's fine. The first half of this with the Harbor Freight power tools took me like 2 hours. The last half of it with real power tools took like 30 minutes. Now it is time for the side skirt to go on. We've got all the underglow, everything's good. All that's left now is the side skirt. Let's see, all the wiring is done. I'll have to put the battery tie down back on and change the oil filter and see if that solves our oil leak. Hopefully it does, because we're doing a photo shoot with this thing tomorrow. And, oh right, the fuel door has to go on as well. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we've got these General Motors, I think these are radiator fan shroud screws here in the back, and some, I forget what these are called, clip nut things. Speed nuts, that's it. Nice thing about these is the built-in independently spinning washer, which means that it won't, it means that the head of the bolt isn't twisting directly on the paint, which will quickly damage the paint. And then in the front, we just have one screw. This actually came with the still inside skirts, and then I just added my own washer. And that goes in the front here into the factory hole. So now the next step is to take some isopropyl alcohol and some shop towels, and we're going to clean all of the mating surfaces where the adhesive goes, which is going to be right here, and then all along the top of right here. Well, the side skirts are on, the underglow is on. Now we need to actually fix the car. Try and figure out what's going on with this oil leak. The filter isn't loose. Definitely not loose. Oh, goodness. There's nothing leaking from above the oil filter. Soaked down here. It's soaked below the oil filter, behind the oil filter, and above the oil pan. So the filter is really the only thing it can be. Just come off.
Let's see how this weird looking guy works. Oh, wow. Very well. Goodness. Okay. This is definitely my favorite kind of oil filter device. And stick it right back on. Man, canister filters are just so much better. Like, objectively, technically superior. They seal better, less failure prone. This whole screwing on this flat gasket and hoping it seals things is just for the birds. I mean, canister filters, you've got an O-ring. It's fantastic, it just works. So now all we gotta do is snip off some more of these zip tie tails, check the oil, lower the car back down, and see how it looks. But you guys aren't gonna see that until the next episode, so get subscribed to see the result of all this work. I'm gonna go take this thing, and my camera guy and I are gonna make something real nice to show it off for the first time. So I'll see you for that, and thanks for watching.